time we ask ourselves if we still know the freedoms that were intended for us by the Founding Fathers. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
I was riding partner with a lot of officers that were still in the reserves, and at the time, that was one of my biggest regrets. I didn't serve. So the Coast Guard actually had a program that allowed me to have an abbreviated boot camp and basically not be out from work for too long. One of the motivations, strong motivations, obviously also is Pat Tillman, Arizona Cardinal. Played football. He gave up his career to serve in the U.S. military, became a U.S. Army Ranger, and paid the ultimate sacrifice. For him to basically give up everything, $1 million contract and everything, to serve in the military, that's obviously very inspiring. And so, again, try to fulfill or wipe out my biggest regret. You know, Coast Guard had that opportunity, so I enlisted.
I joined the military really late in life. I was about like a month from being disqualified due to age, so I was really like living on the edge, pushing it. I was already PSR 3, doing BCC at communications, and I was just like, it's either I do it now or never. So it's always been at the back of my mind to serve, to be in the military. I was born and raised in the Philippines, and then I moved to Los Angeles when I was 17. In order for the United States to be the power that we are, we need those people to be in the military.
My grandfather, he served in World War I. I had an uncle who served in Vietnam. Didn't know what I wanted to do, and by luck, Marine Corps recruiter found me and basically showed me how I could travel the world, which is what I wanted to do. I wanted to lead Detroit. So I joined the Marine Corps at 18. I graduated in June. I was in boot camp in October. I did a tour doing Operation Restore Hope in Somalia, did 2 tours in Iraq. So after the second tour in Iraq, I realized that, hey, you know what, I got kids, man. I need to be home for them. So I retired.
President Reagan once said that freedom is never more than a generation from extinction. I believe that to be true. It's not our inheritance or automatically passed down. I think freedom has to be guarded. It has to be fought for. And I felt that serving in the military was one way that a young person can be a part of guarding that freedom. I think I was drawn to the idea of fighting for those who can't fight for themselves. You know, this noble pursuit of defending your country and protecting those you love. That's what was appealing to me.
There's been challenging moments, there's been challenging days, but that's how we grow. That's how we develop personally and professionally. It gave me an opportunity not only to serve domestically, but also abroad. Everything that you see right now, the natural disasters and stuff like that, the Coast Guard has a role in that. And to have that opportunity to not only help local Angelenos, but also to help citizens who need help in other states, it's obviously very rewarding.
We celebrate Veterans Day on the anniversary of the armistice that ended World War I. The armistice that began on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. The timing of this holiday is quite deliberate in terms of historical fact, but somehow it always seems quite fitting to me that this day comes deep in autumn when the colors are muted and the days seem to invite contemplation.
For those people that willingly volunteer their time, effort, sacrifices, so I think it needs to be celebrated and remembered.
So the families of service members and veterans alike, I, for one, thank you for your service to defend our country, to be there next to your brothers and sisters in arms, to support them and to fight for them. There's nothing bigger than that. There's nothing better.
There's something to be said about the character of a country that celebrates and honors its servants. It's a day where we can come together as Americans and commemorate the sons and daughters that have rendered service to this great nation. It's also a day that we could recognize the sacrifices made by the families of the veterans. And I think it speaks volumes to the next generation when they see how we value the defenders of freedom.